On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Negative Spaces by Poppy. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal. We like to talk about it. And every February, we like to take some time to talk about the ladies. Talk about the ladies. Ooh. I wish I had a shitty like morning radio
one of those pads.
Soundboard.
Yeah.
For just a bunch of fucking stupid sound effects, just so everyone knows that we're a couple of douchebags.
Yeah, it's something with an auga on it somewhere. Yeah, yeah.
That aside, we do like to take some time to talk about women in metal because there's not enough of them. There ought to be more of them. Metal in general is a massive sausage fest.
It generally is. I remember seeing an interview. It was I used to get this series on video cassette called Hard and Heavy, which I feel like nowadays
that's a gay porn mag now.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, it was all the newest like really heavy bands, and I remember it was Violence, and they were being interviewed right after they put out their first album.
Okay,
1988, and they're like, yeah, you can come to our shows. Don't expect to pick up any chicks.
It's all gonna be sweaty dudes.
Yep.
I mean, it's not metal, but it made me think of Kyle Kinane being like, girlfriend's worried I'm gonna, what if I meet somebody at one of my shows? What if I meet a woman? And I told her, you don't gotta worry because the only people that come to my shows are guys that look exactly like me.
Yep.
And I feel like that's just metal as well.
Right.
But there are, I think, increasingly more and more women in metal in various genres. Mm-hmm. And one of them is Poppy, who has had a very interesting career. Started out, as the name might suggest, making pop music, as well as some very bizarre and funny, kind of humorous digital performance art, one could call it, on YouTube. But she's had a really interesting career. I've been aware of her for a very long time.
Right.
Probably since not too long after she started making YouTube videos. I think I was in college at the time, I think.
Wow. So it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, like 2 years ago. I was aware of the videos, and then I knew she made music, and then however many years later, I guess in 2019 or something like that.
Yeah.
I started seeing like clips pop up either like on Instagram, I think, of like her newest album where she like first went fully into more of a metal sound and went, whoa, that's different. That's not what I expected from Poppy, the weird blonde android girl from YouTube. She's doing that now. Okay. But yeah, there is also something quite funny that has happened to do with Poppy in the last week. So the Grammys was on Sunday.
Yep.
And Poppy was nominated for her feature. She Knocked Loose was nominated, and it was a song that Poppy featured on, so she was
Poppy.
there.
Right.
And Spirit Box was there as well. And Courtney from Spirit Box was walking across the red carpet, and one of the interviewers saw her and assumed, oh, I see a woman with black hair that is walking. I don't know how that red carpet works. I don't know if the metal people were walking by at the same time or whatnot, but a woman with black hair, that must be Poppy. Didn't ask who she was, didn't, just assumed, and was like, and we're here with rock royalty Poppy, and Courtney, the look on Courtney's face was just fucking hilarious. Just flatly like, Yes, that's me. I am Poppy. Here nominated with Knocked Loose. Happy to be here. Like, just fucking hilarious.
Just ran with it. Yeah.
But like so flat and so dead. It was really really funny. And fucking Spotify yesterday, because they do like their someone there puts together playlists, and their kick-ass metal playlist. The picture was Courtney LaPlante, and then the first song in the playlist. Actually, the first song was a Spirits Box song, and then the next song was a Poppy song. And I guess I didn't read the description. I think the description may have also referred to her as like Poppy pictured above or something like that. I don't know.
Because they have a sense of humor in Sweden or wherever.
Wherever Spotify is from?
Where is Spotify from?
I don't know.
I feel like it's
Maybe Finnish.
Is it Finnish?
I don't know.
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah. Anywho, or at least it was. I don't know if it is anymore. There's a whole bunch of like apps from the golden age of the internet, shall we call it, of the early to mid 2000s that were developed in like Sweden or Finland or what have you, and then were bought by some American company and have remained here.
Right, and they swept up.
Theoretically, in a corporate sense, have remained here, but with employees all across the world. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's good.
See, what did I do this week? Did I do anything? I guess we recorded on Sunday.
It's not been too long since we recorded.
Right.
I've had an interesting week so far. You're lucky being an afternoon boy at work.
Yeah.
Because we had a piece of hardware where seemingly the hard drives in this piece of hardware, which it connects to the internet.
Yeah,
and it
through a series of tubes.
Yeah, through a series of tubes, it downloads radio shows that we play in our mornings. We used to use a satellite feed, but that has been unreliable at times. So a number of years ago, as we switched over to taking a digital feed. Well, the device we used to do that, one of the hard drives over the weekend just decided it didn't want to live anymore. And so both of our stations were like off the air for a couple of hours Monday morning.
Right.
So I had to help sort of fix that. And then I spent a significant chunk of my Monday morning and afternoon trying to figure out like being guided by our boss through a number of troubleshooting things.
Right.
None of which worked.
Right. I came around the corner at one point, and you were on like a FaceTime video with him, and I saw his face, and I'm like, I almost dove out of the room. I'm like, I don't want to be part of this.
Well, and it's like I mean, I wasn't in trouble or anything that, but it was just like it was frustrating for both of us because it's like, I mean, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know how any of that shit works. But somebody had to try some stuff to see what was going on, and eventually we just figured out we needed a new magic box. And so the magic box got put in yesterday, but there was stuff that I wanted to do that had to be put on hold until we knew the magic box worked.
Right, you had to do your job yet.
Yeah, so that like I had a pretty significant like anxiety attack at about 3:30 yesterday afternoon.
I noticed that.
Like there wasn't. It's weird because as long as I know there's like something I can do to help with the situation, and I go and go about doing it, then I will feel okay. But if there's a situation that affects me, but I can't do anything about, that's when the bad feelings start.
Right.
Like I hate putting it in the hands of other people, which is necessary at times. But when I have to like sit there and be like, okay, well, I hope this works, And if it doesn't work, then I don't know what I'm going to do because I can't do anything.
Right.
And yeah, I hate that. So it was an unpleasant afternoon yesterday, but it's working.
Yay!
I don't know why I said that like Anakin Skywalker on his pod. It's working.
Yeah.
But yeah, the new Magic Box is working thanks to someone who actually knows what they're doing, more or less, with broadcast technology.
Yeah.
More or less.
More or less.
He got it hooked up.
Less, really.
He knows more than I do.
Yeah. It's because he's broken more things than you have.
I mean,
in his 78 years.
He's not that old,
isn't he?
I don't think so.
He's in his early 60s.
Yeah. That was a little bit of a stressful time, and I feel like I've been recharging since then.
You've been playing catch up. I noticed that like all day today, like you wouldn't make eye contact with anybody really.
I mean, do I ever really make that much eye contact?
Oh, you're usually staring right into everybody's eyes.
Yeah. No. I think I just needed to recharge. Don't stop it. That is a thing that you do sometimes when we would play D&D.
Right.
You sit next to me, and I'm glad that you were listening and paying attention, but also you would fucking stare straight into my soul while I was talking. It's like, okay, too much eye contact. Just look at some other stuff. There's a beautiful map behind me. Look at that, please. Look at some of the other people at the table.
What about this? How do you feel about that?
You're looking at my forehead, aren't you?
No.
Are you looking right above my head?
No. I'm direct eye contact.
No, you're not. You're not looking right at me. I can tell.
No,
I can tell you're not looking.
Hi, Kale.
You're waving at somebody behind me. I know that you're not looking at me. You're standing too close. And I can tell. That's always the recommendation if you can't handle eye contact and you need to talk to a group of people. It's like don't look them in the eye. Look at their forehead or look right above their heads while you're talking and move around. Don't look at one person. Look at, and that was high school speech for me.
Right.
That was speech. I didn't struggle with that at all. My biggest issue with speech is like if someone I knew really well,
like your mom and dad.
Like my mom and dad knew very well that I didn't really want them to watch me too much because it felt weird. It felt like embarrassing almost in some way. Not embarrassing that they were there watching me, but it was I felt embarrassed that I was like doing a silly thing in front of my parents, which was the point, like, because I would be doing humorous, funny speeches and stuff. The point was to be silly and to be wacky, and it's not like I wasn't joking when I was at home and stuff, but something about the context made it feel different and weird.
Well, the way it is for me is, like, say I'm at my night job.
Yeah.
When I go to my night job, it's me, but it's a different version of me.
Yeah.
And if, like, somebody I know, like, if somebody from the radio station came into my night job and hung out, it would be like panic mode. Because no, this is not the me that you know.
Yeah.
And this is out of, don't be here.
You're corrupting the code switch.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't, there's been a glitch in the code switching, and it just can't work anymore.
Like when I would start, like, dating someone, like, she'd come in, I want to come in and play bingo. Will you call bingo? But
no.
Please don't.
Yeah. And it was a little bit, it was like that. But if it was just, people that I knew, by the time I was a senior, like I knew most of the other kids that were doing speech that were around my age because, I would, for the whole winter, basically for 6 years, I would see a lot of the same people, once a week or once every other week because there's only so many schools in North Dakota.
Right.
Like that. But I got to know a lot. I got to know a lot of them, but they knew me in that context, so it was okay. Those people only knew me from speech.
Right.
So that was different. It wasn't the same.
Yeah, like I love it when somebody you only know in a specific context says, "Hey, mind if I stop by?" And you have to tell them, "Can you give me about 10 minutes to put my human suit on?"
Yeah. I need a little bit of time to become the person you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird. I'm trying to think of anything. Oh, I'm annoyed with my... not annoyed with the air compressor itself. So I got a little baggie full of weed. No, a little baggie full of like adapters for various things, and none of them, several of them fit and can be used to adapt that air compressor to the hose that I have, but none of them fit well enough to not have massive leaks that mean the air compressor can never get to the PSI it needs to hit in order to turn off. Like any air compressor, it will get up to a certain amount of bars, and then it will shut itself off until the air pressure drops down. For that, the normal pressure that trips it to turn off is 4 bar. And it will go down to 3, and then it will turn back on.
Gotcha.
And it's kind of loud. It's an air compressor that's sitting right there. So while it's on and filling itself up, it's pretty loud. So you don't want it on all the time. But the leaks were bad enough that it could not get past 3.
Wow.
So like it could barely get past 30 psi basically. So I have ordered a new hose because like. None of the orders from Amazon, I could maybe do some more research, but none of them called out specifically what fucking size the like output, to use audio terms anyway, what fucking size the output on the air compressor is, and what size the input on the actual fucking airbrush is.
Right.
So I measured them myself. And I think I think the output on the air compressor is a 1/4 inch, and I think the airbrush is an 1/8 inch, and those seem to be standard-ish.
Sure.
So I just bought a new hose. That's also much longer because that's only like a 3-foot hose, which is a little short.
Yeah. You got to look out for them 3-foot hose.
Yep. The Moompa Loompas, they're out to get you. But yeah. So hopefully that it'd be nice to just get a hose that just works without needing any adapters, because that's less points of failure. I won't need to get like tape to seal it up or anything like that.
Right.
So hopefully, because I have my paints. I have my paints. I have my airbrush thinner. Okay. All right. I have a primer, which primer is paint.
Yes.
It's just a special kind of paint. But I've got all the stuff theoretically that I need to start priming my Warhammer minis, but
you just need hose.
Yeah, I just need hose. Small thin pants that you wear under some trousers.
Like pantyhose.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can just call them hose. HOSE.
I really hope somebody clips that out of context.
In medieval, I'm trying to. I can't sentence right now.
You can't words.
But yeah, just HOSE, hose. Is the origin of the term that we use now for tubes that things go through was originally just reference to a specific kind of pants.
Yeah, hosiery.
Yeah, hosiery. My favorite Irish folk art. I don't know what kind of music Hosier technically makes.
Yeah, I don't either.
Hosier? I don't know. All I know is "Take Me to Church," and then the song he did, "Blood on the Snow."
Sure.
Which was the song for on the God of War Ragnarok soundtrack.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's Hosier.
Oh. Cool.
Hosier. I don't know how it's supposed to be said.
Well, they're Irish, right? He's Irish?
Yeah, but he might be doing a thing. I don't know. I also don't know if that's his name. I don't know anything about the guy other than he's got long sort of hair and a beard, and he sings.
Uh-huh.
That's all I know. You know who else has got long sort of hair and sings?
Poppy.
Mm-hmm. It's true. So Poppy, whose real human name, I don't know why I phrased it that way. Poppy's name is Mariah Rose Pereira. Pariah, and probably not
Pariah.
No. Anyway, she's been known as Poppy for quite some time. Is an American singer. She's based out of Los Angeles, but she's born in Boston. And I think her family moved to Nashville when she was a teenager. But she has been making music since she was a teenager. She eventually moved to LA. She had made some YouTube videos with her music. Eventually, I think all of those have been long since been made private. Sure. But she moved to LA to pursue her music career and met this video director / musician producer called Titanic Sinclair. I don't think Titanic is his real first name.
Really?
Yeah. But this guy had been involved. He'd been involved in another project, and they started doing these YouTube, these weird performance art bits on YouTube as a way to promote her music. And they had a long-standing creative partnership for a while. Eventually, Titanic Sinclair and Poppy were both sued by Sinclair's original partner, Mars Argo, who she claimed that they basically based Poppy's internet personality on hers. The dispute was settled out of court, and Poppy herself was like, "This is frivolous and pointless." But the relationship between Poppy and Titanic Sinclair eventually fell apart anyway, and she was like, "This guy's a piece of shit." So she eventually kind of left him behind, and that was around the time that her last album with that guy, I believe, was the album I Disagree, which is when she really started experimenting with metal. She had experimented a little bit with some new metal influences on the album preceding that.
Yes.
And then I Disagree went even further down that road. Since then, she put out an album in between. I think that was kind of went more back to her pop sound. She was usually described as kind of bubblegum pop, or
more
sort of
poppy.
Yeah, bubblegum pop, or avant-garde sort of pop.
Right.
And then Negative Spaces came out last year. That definitely goes much further back into metal territory, especially on some of the songs.
Right.
I was honestly kind of shocked how heavy a couple of these tracks are. When you think of former pop star that started making metal, you don't automatically assume there's going to be a couple tracks on here that have riffs that wouldn't feel out of place in an early Whitechapel song.
Right.
You wouldn't quite the song "The Center's Falling Out." That song opens up with just absolutely pummeling riff.
It's fantastic.
And I think I knew that she had done some screamed vocals. I wasn't prepared for quite how much of that there was going to be on this album. I would say it's probably 50-50, or maybe there's a little more clean vocals.
Yeah.
But it's close as far as clean vocals versus screamed vocals.
And there was a lot of poppy stuff on here as well.
It's not all, just metal. It's definitely a fusion of the two things. There's a couple of songs that, aren't metal songs at all.
Yeah, crystallized.
But most of it, I would say, there's definitely still some very strong nu metal influences, or alternative metal as well. The song Nothing felt like an Evanescence song to me for a lot of it. Listening to it, was this sounds like it could be an Evanescence song. I think it got quite a bit heavier towards the end. There was not usually much in the way of screamed vocals on an Evanescence track.
No.
But
Unless it's a guest vocalist.
Yeah. But there's a lot of variety here.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot. It's very dynamic. I was kind of surprised at how much variety there was in the sound here, and also like I didn't realize how many tracks there were going to be. There's 15 tracks on this album. This was kind of neat. I liked this.
It's refreshing.
Yeah. What do you think?
I mean, I will say, in the grand scheme of things, this is not necessarily my cup of tea.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
But, I would listen to this again.
Yeah, I think I could have, and part of this I think is just me not being someone who really listens to much pop at all, and like the when I do listen to stuff that leans more in a pop direction, it's usually like really indie influenced stuff.
Sure.
There's probably there was more like auto-tune and more effects like digital effects laid on her voice at times than I would personally be fond of. I'm not familiar with her singing capabilities or anything, so I don't know if it's if she needs that to make those sorts of sounds, or if it's just a texture. Like T-Pain, right?
Right.
I think everybody at this point knows that T-Pain can fucking sing.
Yes, you can.
And all the auto-tune is really just there because he likes the way it sounds.
Right. Or like Cher.
Yeah. Like everybody knows, Cher can sing.
Yeah, but when she puts on that Believe song, you need that flutter in there.
Yeah, it's it's for the quality of it, the texture of it, I guess.
Right. The flavor.
So I don't know if that's just a stylistic choice on here or not, but there was maybe a little bit more of it than I would personally like, generally speaking. But this album, by the way, was produced by Jordan Fish, who is I think maybe former drummer. I don't know if he's still the drummer for Bring Me the Horizon, but
sure.
He I think has produced a number of their albums as well. I have not listened to anything from Bring Me the Horizon in the longest time because I liked a lot of their earlier stuff, and then they went very much in a sort of radio rock direction, and they kind of lost me. And I've never had any reason to go back, but
I mean, money's a good thing.
Yeah, if they're, and like none of them are getting younger,
right?
If any of them are, it's difficult being a alternative musician, and sometimes people do want to like start a family or buy a house or something like that.
Eat.
It can be difficult to do that on an alternative music budget.
I've noticed that about myself, by the way, lately.
What?
I'm starting to look old.
You're finally noticing that you've aged, that you're not 25 anymore.
Yeah. Well, I guess I did just have a birthday.
You did, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't really ever change. It's just a day.
Yeah.
But I think it has to do with the fact that I don't want to blame anybody, but some people aren't letting me sleep because their music is too loud.
Yeah.
And I would, I don't mind the aroma sometimes, but if we could smell anything other than marijuana,
that would be nice.
That'd be nice. Hey guys, would you guys maybe fry some onions or bacon, or maybe I don't know, Glade or something?
Microwave some fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking about my old apartment.
Yeah.
That wasn't constant, but it was pretty regular.
It was pretty I mean, it didn't necessarily creep into your apartment all the time, but
usually it stayed in the hallway.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you go into the hallway, you expect
to smell some weed.
You expect to smell weed and Chinese food.
Yeah. A classic combination.
I mean, that sounds like breakfast to me. But
yeah, that's yeah, it would probably be nice to do that. I feel like also perhaps contributing to you feeling that you look older as you wear glasses more regularly now.
Yeah.
Where that didn't used to need to be the case.
Right. Now if I want to read anything, I have to put on readers.
I think that can do it especially if you've gone most of your life not wearing glasses. Like at this point, glasses is just how I look, so I don't think it really has a major effect on whether or not I look younger or older.
And I've let my hair grow out, and I've let my beard grow in. I kind of have the guy who lives under a bridge beard now. I mean
a little bit.
It's white, and it's.
I don't think it makes you look homeless.
All right.
I think it just looks like a short beard, like you're letting it grow in. You know, it's not Duck Dynasty.
Right.
I think the difference also between how homeless a beard makes you looks. How makes you looks. It's the difference in how the beard makes you looks. I wanted to go like Toki Wartooth with that, but it turned into Matt Gorley's impression of H.R. Giger. It articulates like a dinosaur. But
have you ever watched that documentary, by the way,
about H.R. Giger?
Yeah.
I have not, unfortunately.
It is fascinating. I couldn't turn away. Watching Tom G. Warrior mow his lawn.
But anyway, what I was trying to get to was, I think one of the big things is the size and keptness of the mustache. I think it can really help a beard where if you let your mustache sort of grow out a little bit first and keep the beard a little bit shorter, there's something a little bit neater about that, I think.
Well, because it looks intentional.
Yeah, it looks like instead of you're just letting yourself go, you're doing a thing.
Right.
Because there are sometimes with a beard where, like, even though the mustache and the beard are the same length, the mustache just looks sort of wrong a little bit. That's not the case with you, though.
Right.
I think you actually have a pretty strong, consistent coverage of mustache.
I can grow a luxurious mustache.
Luxurious mustache.
I can look like I belong in a 1975 adult film.
Hell yeah. Or you could be a Gilded Age officer.
That as well.
You could be a Victorian military man. You're ready to mount your horse and charge that line of German machine guns. Because this newfangled technology will not stop the bravery of Great Britain. Certainly this war will be done by Christmas.
Although, some time ago I started to just grow a mustache. It was like last summer. So I started to just grow a mustache.
Yeah.
And a particular woman saw my face and went, "No." Yeah.
Wrong. It's wrong. Mustaches are great.
Yeah.
I'm biased because my dad has always had a mustache.
Right.
I'm convinced of that, even though I recently saw pictures of him when he was like a fourth grader where he obviously didn't have a mustache. If I had not seen evidence to the contrary, I would assume my dad has always had a mustache his entire life.
He was born with one.
Born with a mustache. But yeah, no, mustaches are dope. I've never quite gotten why some people consider all mustaches to be creepy. Like, there are some people, they see any mustache. If you have just a mustache, some people are like, he's got that creepy mustache. Like, that's a perfectly fine mustache. Like, the person is creepy. The mustache is fine.
Right, the fact that he's luring children into a van, that's the creepy part.
That's got nothing to do with the mustache.
Exactly.
But
he's eating a human infant. That's the creepy part.
To be fair, mustaches can be creepy. He's a lovely man, but John Waters...
That's a creepy mustache.
That's a creepy mustache.
I feel like there's a lot of creepy we don't know about John Waters. I feel like he's been behind the scenes creepy.
Here's the thing. Is it creepy if everyone around him knows and is also creepy and into it? I don't think he's... the term isn't creepy. The term is freaky.
Freaky. Okay, sure. I mean...
I feel like he's had throughout his career, such a stable group of collaborators that continued to work with him on every project he would make. I feel like if he was secretly awful, they wouldn't have continued to do that.
So freaky is probably the word.
And that's... everybody knows John Waters is freaky.
Right. I mean, have you seen Pink Flamingos?
Yeah. He's a weird man. I haven't seen Pink Flamingos. No, I can't bring myself to actually watch it.
I rented that for friends, for roommates one time. I said, you guys got to watch this. Because I'm a psychopath. At the end of it, they're like, why?
Why did we just watch that drag queen eat literal dog shit off of the sidewalk?
Fresh dog shit. We saw the dog take a shit. And then Divine ate it.
Why?
Why are we watching a dude jerk off into a turkey baster?
Because it was the 70s, baby.
Yeah.
So Poppy. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how much more we have to say about this as listeners or reviewers. Does this album slap? Yeah, I'd say this album slaps for sure. It's got 87 on Metacritic. People in general were pretty positive about this. A lot of people calling it like her best album. It seems to be one of her most highly rated albums, which is so far.
A great thing to find out about your newest album.
Yeah. That it's your best one yet.
Yeah.
What's your favorite song?
My favorite song on here, it's near the end. Hold on, I can't. Oh no, I'm not trying to buy something.
Are you sure?
Vital, I think, is my favorite song.
I really like Vital.
Yeah.
I ended up putting down Nothing.
Nothing.
The track that I mentioned earlier in the episode.
Right. One that sounds like Evanescence.
Yeah. I really like that track.
That is great.
I liked the vibe of Surviving on Defiance as well. And also New Way Out was kind of fun. Yeah. There's a lot on here that I like, but like you said earlier in the episode, I don't know if it's quite my thing. I haven't become a Poppy fan after this, but I like what she's doing.
Yep.
I got no issues with this. It's just not quite my speed. But
but it's great.
I think that being said, I think we kind of both know what medal to bestow upon this, like Maz Kanata to Chewbacca.
Right, I think it's a solid silver.
It's a solid silver for me as well. That's good stuff, and I would highly recommend it. If you think that a fusion of like metalcore, new metal with like really sort of glossy pop music, if you think that is interesting, you should listen to this album, because that's what this is.
You know what? I would probably say you should listen to this in anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't know you like that.
Yeah. And if you love Spirit Box, you should listen to this because it's the same singer. That's it for Negative Spaces. What do you want to talk about next week?
Next week, I'd like to talk about the album The Disfigured and the Divine by Emasculator.
Okay. I wonder what the album could be about. All right.
Yeah.
Then we'll
celebrate the women of metal.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that next week then.
All right.
I'm frightened for my genitals. Anyway, until then, why don't you... I'm frightened for my genitals. Steady. Disfigured and Divine by Emasculate. Like, that's just putting...
Right.
That's just putting to mind a bad time for the old bait and tackle is what that sounds like.
You know, I actually have one of those things.
What? No, an emasculator?
Well, not an emasculator. No, it's a castrator is what I have.
Oh, yeah.
One of our sales staff found it at a yard sale.
A cattle, castration that's designed to put really strong rubber bands around the testicles of certain farm animals.
Yes.
To slowly detach them. She found that
God, yeah.
and then was like, "Do either of you want this?"
And I was like, yeah?
Sure. It's a conversation piece.
Right.
Anyway, let's end the episode.
All right.
Thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast. Why don't you go ahead and follow or subscribe to our feed, rather, on whatever podcast service you use to listen to us. You got it? Okay. Thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast. I'm Gail.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.
Wow, you really did go big time.
Big time. Like, that was fun. Don't worry about it. It was all right.
That was a nice snatch.
Yeah. Hey, your mom. All right.
There's a clip for the end.